Dear Chancellor, members of the Chancellery, members of the European Parliament, dear winners, representatives of the Standing Committee of European Doctors and the European Federation of Nurses Associations, and other guests, I would like to welcome you to the European Citizens Prize Awards ceremony. I'm Natalie Kontoulis, and I'll be guiding you through this evening's ceremony. Due to the pandemic, the European Parliament had to postpone last year's award ceremony. We are delighted that today, with this award ceremony, the Parliament will honour both the 2020 and 2021 winners of the European Citizens Prize. I would now like to kindly ask the Chancellor, the European Parliament's Vice President, Dita Charanzová, to take the floor for a welcome speech.
Bonsoir, good evening. Let me warmly welcome you to the European Parliament, to this ceremony on the European Award Ceremony, European Citizens Prize. And I would like especially welcome the 50 winners. It is my honor of my colleagues, members of the European Parliament, to have you here physically today. And I would like to congratulate each of you on being chosen for this award. As you know, the Citizens' Prize was established already in 2008 to recognize the work and the effort of citizens, promoting European principles and values, and helping other European citizens. Acts by individuals, acts by associations that show the best of our society. The European Parliament is the voice of European citizens, where almost all 450 million citizens are represented. Their voices, hopes and wishes resound in the Parliament's corridors every day through the work of your representative, of the members of the European Parliament. Every president of this House and every member of this House will tell you that it's our goal to strengthen that voice and to make sure that this institution continues to be the most open parliament in the world. As a member of the Conference on the Future of Europe and as the Vice President of this House, I can only repeat that the Union must continue to adapt to ensure we serve our citizens as best we can. And that is why it was this House, the European Parliament, that called for the Conference on the Future of Europe and why we hope to implement its outcomes. Today, on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall and the start of Europe coming back together, we must remember that European cooperation ensures peace, stability, common prosperity, and solidarity. It is through common solidarity as nations and as individuals that we are overcoming the COVID crisis, and it is how we will also overcome the future challenges. I know that each of the winners of this prize gives evidence to this fact. Each project, each individual story is touching in its own way. Real examples of real people improving our daily lives, one person at a time, and in some cases, actively saving lives during the crisis. Our winners might not be a celebrity, might not be people having millions of followers on social media, But each winner is a proof that real heroes can be any ordinary person who cares enough to do something extraordinary. This is why the European Parliament created this award, and this is why we honor you. Thank you for being here today with us, and thank you for making Europe better. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Charantsova. So let's get going. We will now start awarding the diplomas to the winners of the 2020 edition in 2 groups. So I would like to ask the Chancellor to please take the floor, and your names will be called out one by one to come to the front and receive your diplomas.
For Austria, the winner is Eurobabble, represented by Dominik Kirchstoffer.
From Austria, Parapluie, Evelina Glöckner.
From Belgium, Generation Climate Europe, represented by Agatha Meissner.
From Bulgaria, Medea, represented by Snezhina Petrova.
For Bulgaria, the winner is See-Through Music, represented by Boyan Simiov.
From Croatia, Boranka Painted Bag, represented by Dan Spitzer.
From Cyprus, Social Mediation in Practice, represented by Stephanie Laulhe Shaelou.
From Cyprus, Culture Meets Volunteering, represented by Kostas Fikas.
From Czech Republic, Czech Institute of Informatics, Robotics and Cybernetics, RP95 3D Protective Half Mask, represented by Dr. Ondřej Velek.
From Estonia, Read Aloud, Merle, represented by Merle Tanilso.
From Finland, Eco Energy Eco Label, represented by Seda Orhan.
From France, #Omod Confiné project, represented by Abdelali El Badawi.
From Germany, 91st International Session of the European Youth Parliament, represented by Tim Kniepkamp.
From Greece, Symbiosis, represented by Despina Siri.
From Hungary, Oltalom Charity Society, represented by Gabor Ivani.
Thank you very much. You can take your seats and we will award the remaining diplomas soon. I would now like to invite Catherine Cox, Head of Communications and Policy at Family Carers Ireland, 2020 Irish winner of the European Citizens Prize, to deliver a speech. Ms. Cox, please join us at the lectern.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you for inviting me here today to the European Citizens Prize Award ceremony. That was the biggest obstacle I had, getting that right. And for nominating Family Carers Ireland for this award. We are humbled and we are honoured to be here. And I am accepting it today on behalf of Ireland's 500,000 family carers who care for loved ones and who have had such a difficult month, or 18 months, as everybody has had over the last year and a half. So firstly, who are Family Carers Ireland? We are the national charity supporting family carers, advocating and lobbying on their behalf. We've been around for over 30 years and 5 years ago we merged with another organisation to become the national organisation. I will tell you a little bit more about our project, but first I think it's really important to say who are family carers. So family carers are ordinary people doing extraordinary work. They are mums, they are dads, they're just like you and me, they're daughters, they're sons. But they care for the people that they care for out of love for that person. They most often don't choose to become a family carer, but rather something happens in their lives. So a child is born with a disability, maybe a loved one is involved in an accident, or an ageing parent. And so caring chooses them, but they do it out of love for the person they're caring for. And I would say, sadly, quite often that love is taken for granted by our governments, but I'll come back to that. So the pandemic impacted negatively on everybody in society, but I think particularly so for family carers and their loved ones. It resulted in schools and day services closing down almost overnight, increasing the pressure on so many family carers to care 24/7 without these supports. Vital supports like speech and language therapy, physiotherapy disappeared overnight. And family carers quite often said to us they watched their loved ones regress before them through this time. Yet despite this, family carers, they stepped up and they suppressed the virus in their own homes, keeping their loved ones safe. But this did come at a cost to their own mental and physical health. And unfortunately, because they weren't treated as frontline workers, they didn't get the recognition that they deserve. But today, I think the recognition of this award goes a long way towards doing that. A huge challenge, I suppose, that faced family carers at the start of the pandemic was they were not prioritised for PPE, so for gloves, masks, gel for their hands. So one of the first things that Family Carers Ireland as a charity did, we started to source, package and distribute PPE to family carers across Ireland. So we literally set up a mini factory in my own home and we packaged it and we got it out to about 3,500 family carers who could not get access to it. We couldn't have done that without the support of the corporate sector, so the likes of Tesco, Irish Life supported us, and An Post, our postal services. Calls to our national free phone care line increased by 150% in the first few weeks of the pandemic. And so we responded by setting up a crisis fund specifically for family carers during COVID-19. And through that fund, we have put food on tables, put oil in tanks. We've paid for overnight nursing hours to give one family carer a break so she could get up the next day and continue to care, and the day after that. We bought bite-proof clothing for another family carer because her daughter was so distressed and was biting her and her bedding. We bought laptops for young carers so they could continue to engage with their school friends and their studies. We paid for grinds for young carers so they would not lose out, particularly in exam years. We started our online counselling service, online training, online support groups, and we ran coffee mornings every Thursday specifically for family carers, where we brought on guest speakers including GPs, nurses, so carers could ask them the question that was worrying them at the time. We supported thousands of family carers through the pandemic, but again I would say we couldn't have done it without the corporate sector and the generosity of the public. Sadly, during COVID, family carers did feel that our government let them down. However, as we emerge from this pandemic, I believe and we believe there is a real opportunity for governments right across Europe to step up now and do the right thing by family carers. And one lesson we have learned from this pandemic is that to be cared for at home is probably the safest place to be cared for. But family carers cannot do that alone. They need support. And when I say support, I mean they need financial support, but they need training, they need hoists, they need equipment when they need it. The programme for government in Ireland made significant promises to support family carers over the coming years. And today I would call on our elected MEPs to support our call for family carers right across the European Union to be supported to care for their loved ones, because no one should have to care alone, and quite often that is what happens. So to end, I'm going to end with some wise words from our President, Michael D. Higgins, and he said this in May 2021. Our definition of work must change, must evolve and widen to incorporate the important role of caring and carers as essential workers, workers far too long undervalued by society. Thank you once again for nominating Family Carers Ireland. Thank you to Sean, Deirdre, Francis, Maria and Colm, our MEPs. And most importantly, thank you to everybody here, and enjoy your evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Cox, for that moving and inspiring speech. So we shall now award the remaining diplomas to the winners of the 2020 edition of the European Citizens Prize. Vice President Charantsova, please.
For Hungary, postgraduate course in Christian social principles in the economy, represented by Sister Laura Baris. For Ireland, Irish Girl Guides Europe Badge, represented by Aislinn Claffey.
From Ireland, Family Carers Ireland, represented by Catherine Cox.
From Italy, Voices of Remembrance, represented by Benjamin Cucci.
From Latvia, Mana Bals, represented by Imants Braidaks. From Lithuania, Pizza for Doctors, represented by Odeta Bloziene.
From Luxembourg, hashtag #BitsDohem, represented by Raoul Virion.
For Malta, Lockdown Festival, represented by Keith Bonici.
From the Netherlands, Stichting Geen Grens, represented by Ger Essers.
From Poland, Free Kurds Initiative, represented by Michał Wawrykiewicz.
From Portugal, Education for Active Citizenship, Youth Empowerment and Skills Development, represented by Ivo Paria.
From Romania, Developing the Romanian National Child Cancer Registry, represented by Alina Pătrăhău.
from Slovakia, Human Rights Olympiad, represented by Dagmar Horna.
From Spain, Neighborhood Solidarity Network Somos Tribu UVK, represented by María del Mar Amoedo.
From Sweden, Jala Trapan, represented by Kristina Merker Siefe.
Thank you, Chancellor Charanzová, and congratulations again to the 2020 prize winners. So we now have a real treat because we're going to have a musical performance by Stephanie Huang on cello and Suichi Okada on violin. They will play Bach's Two Inventions, 1 and 8, and they will also play extracts of duos by Reinhold Glier. Please welcome Ms. Huang and Ms. Okada. Thank you to Stephanie Huang and Suichi Okada for the wonderful music. We shall now proceed with awarding the diplomas to the 2021 winners in 2 groups. Vice President Charantsova, please join us at the front.
For Austria, Elub European Youth Encounters, represented by Veronika Trubel.
From Belgium, Paars, represented by Petra Laros.
From Bulgaria, the Mayor.eu, the European portal for cities and citizens, represented by Bojan Tomov.
From Croatia, with One Dream United, represented by Alen Juginovic.
From Cyprus, documentary films Our Wall in My Homeland, represented by Panachios Christonophou and Nesia Yazin.
From Czech Republic, Masaryk University Volunteer Center Muni Helps, represented by Michaela Pokorna.
From Denmark, European Debate Initiative, represented by Zoe and Francesca.
From Estonia, Youth English Club, represented by Artem Belkov.
From Finland, Crisis Helpline, represented by Sari Aalto Maturi.
From France, Franco-German Citizens Dialogue on Strengthening Cross-Border Cooperation, represented by Antoine Anderson.
From Germany, International Youth Theatre Festival, Mad Mix, represented by Georg Kistner.
From Greece, ELIPAP, Hellenic Society for the Protection and Rehabilitation of Persons with Disabilities, represented by Mariana Moshu and Elene Scutelli.
From Hungary, Emergency Exit Operation, International Education Cooperation, represented by László Upor.
For Ireland, Two Into You campaign, represented by Sarah Benson.
Thank you very much, Vice President Charanzová, and congratulations again to our 2021 winners. I now have the pleasure of inviting Ms. Mariana Moshu, First Vice President of ELIPAP, Rehabilitation of Persons with Disabilities, and 2021 Greek winner of the European Citizens Prize, to deliver a speech. Ms. Moshu, please join us at the lectern.
Dear Madam Chancellor of the European Citizens, dear members of the Chancellery, dear members of Parliament, dear winners, dear guests, on behalf of the Board of ELIPAP Rehabilitation for the Disabled, with us today we have the new President of ELIPAP, Dr. Elena Scutelli, as well. We would like to thank you for the great honor and recognition for the important work of ELIPAP with the European Citizens Prize. ELIPAP's work is a concrete expression of the values enshrined in the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the European Union. The prestigious European Citizens Prize adds great importance to ELIPAP, our colleagues and volunteers who work so hard in difficult times to help the disabled people. Indeed, we feel very happy and thank you a lot. Since 1937, ELIPAP, the first social solidarity organization in Greece, built the right of children with disabilities to maximize their full potential towards self-realization, integration, and independence. ELIPAP's vision is to continuously improve and develop its services and programs according to international directives and to provide innovative, high-quality rehabilitation services organized in holistic programs and in a safe and family-like environment in which children and adults with disabilities will be given the best opportunities. Families find in ELIPAP the trustworthy companion in their long rehabilitation journey to share their fears and hopes, to feel accepted and empowered. ELEPAP, with the dedication and hard work of its board of directors, professional staff, volunteers, and benefactors, continues to support more than 1,200 children and adults per day in 6 branches: Athens, Thessaloniki, Ioannina, Chania, Folos, and Agrinio. It is a daily struggle for all of us to continue the vision of ELEPAP for life steps forward, for integration opportunities, and for social awareness, which will ensure a better future for all children and adults with disabilities in Greece. Today, we are facing a constant increase in the demand for our services by families who are facing multiple hardships and need our assistance. Priceless reward for all of us is a smile, the happiness depicted in the eyes of our children, and a small achievement in the everyday goals, like a touch, a word, a step, and life accomplishments like having a friend, university graduation, getting an athletic award, living independently. ELEPAP children and adults offer on a daily basis to all of us and the general public life examples of stamina, hard work, and determination. They keep going regardless of the adversities, adding a small piece in social awareness, acceptance, and equality. My contact with children that every day the therapeutic and educational programs are trying to learn, to create, to be involved, gives me the strength and courage to continue with the other members of the board the unstoppable effort and support of ELEPAP. The members of the board, the staff, the volunteers, all together, we are the large family of ELEPAP. All together, we stand beside our children that give an admirable struggle daily to develop their life steps. For 84 years at ELEPAP, we have a common way of life. We see light at the end of the tunnel. Light is our children and the life steps they make forward. We feel it is our obligation to continue the legacy of ELEPAP. And in this endeavor, we need the support of devoted all the new friends who can support us. A big thank you to the Evaluation Committee for the honorable selection. This prize, the European Citizens Prize, a prize for all of Europe, its citizens, its values, and our common future, fills us with even more determination to continue this lifelong journey, to bring one more smile, one more step, one more life closer to happiness for our children. Your vote of confidence is cherished by every single one of us. Your trust takes us one step further. Thank you all very much, and of course, our special thanks to Mr. Dimitris Papadimoulis, Vice President of the European Parliament, for nominating ELEPAP. Thank you for trusting ELEPAP.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ, κυρία Moshu. Thank you, Mrs. Moshu, for your lovely and inspiring words. We shall now proceed with awarding the diplomas to the remaining winners of the 2021 edition of the European Citizens Prize. Vice President Chalansova, please join us.
From Italy, Frola Microbiscuit Factory, represented by Jacopo Corono.
From Latvia, activity to support residents of Belarus, #FreeBelarus, represented by Inese Vaivare.
from Latvia, Liene Dambina, represented by Liene Dambina.
From Lithuania, Mano Guru, represented by Red Sutkuviene.
From Luxembourg, Respect Each Other, represented by Fanny Vanessa.
From Malta, Monument of Mercy, represented by Martin Mikalev. From the Netherlands, Phoenix Project, represented by Matthew Dekkers.
From Poland, defending the dignity and independence of judges fighting for judicial independence in Poland, represented by Jakub Karyś.
From Portugal, From the People to the People, represented by Manuel Lemos.
From Romania, Geofolk, represented by David Botond.
From Slovakia, Zmudri Civic Stream, represented by Julian Gerhardt.
From Slovenia, for solidarity and pan-European health progress for cancer patients, represented by Kristina Modic.
For Spain, Vila de Moya volunteers for welcoming and integrating irregular migrants, represented by David Milian Kasinelov.
From Sweden, the Nave Association in Bergen and its collaborative creation projects, represented by Yella Faraji.
Thank you very much, and congratulations once again to our 2021 Citizens Prize winners. And Chancellor, please remain with us because we have a very special moment now. Chancellor Harantsova will now present a special recognition to the Standing Committee of European Doctors and the European Federation of Nurses Associations, representing all European doctors and nurses respectively.
Yes, indeed, tonight we have an additional recognition to present during this ceremony, and I also would like to thank the representative of Standing Committee of European Doctors and the European Federation of Nurses Associations for being with us tonight. The 2020 edition of the European Citizens Prize took place under very difficult circumstances, inflicted by the COVID-19 pandemic, leading to locking down our societies. Many Europeans, mostly in the health sector, undertook heroic efforts to fight the pandemic and help those in need. While many of us were kept at home, our doctors, our nurses were sent to the front line. To acknowledge these heroic efforts, the Chancellery and the President decided to add a theme to the submitted projects, namely the fight against the coronavirus. The number of proposals and suggestions of individual doctors and nurses from different parts of Europe were overwhelming. It was clear that the whole European Parliament, European citizens, wanted to thank the medical community for getting us through this crisis and also saving many lives. It was, however, not possible to award every European doctor or every European nurse. So we decided, with the approval of the President of this House, to honour all European doctors and all nurses by offering instead a special recognition to their European umbrella associations, the Standing Committee of European Doctors and the European Federation of Nurses Associations, respectively. I'm therefore pleased and honoured to have here with us today the representatives of our European doctors and nurses, Professor Dr. Frank Ulrich Montgomery, Mrs. Annabelle Zibon, and Mrs. Sarada Das from the Standing Committee of European Doctors, and Professor Dr. Paul Derave, Mrs. Fatima Pereira, and Mrs. Alessia Suma from the European Federation of Nurses Associations. On behalf of the President, on behalf of the Chancellery, on behalf of all the members of the European Parliament, we wish to offer our recognition of all European doctors and nurses and to give our thanks for all your work. Thank you. So let me first call on the President of the Standing Committee of European Doctors, Professor Montgomery, and his colleague, Mrs. Zibon and Mrs. Das, to come forward in order to present the special recognition. Can I now call the Secretary General of the European Federation of Nurses Association, Professor Dr. Paul Derive, and his colleagues, Mrs. Fatima Pereira and Mrs. Alessia Suma, to come forward in order to present the special recognition.
Thank you, Chancellor Charanzová. I would now like to invite Professor Dr. Frank Ulrich Montgomery, President of the Standing Committee of European Doctors, to give a speech. Please come to the lectern.
Honourable Chancellor Charanzová, honourable members of the European Parliament, dear recipients of the European Citizens' Prize, my congratulations. Dear guests, on behalf of European doctors, I thank you sincerely for the special recognition of the medical profession's efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic. I am honoured, and it makes me humble, to accept this recognition on behalf of every doctor who has worked to provide patients with the best possible care throughout this crisis. For the medical community, this virus has likely been the most extreme challenge we have had to face in our careers as doctors. From the first days of being confronted with an unknown disease, to keeping patient care going despite lacking supplies, treatments, and workforce, to coordinating the rollout of vaccines. Each wave of the pandemic has required doctors' skills as clinicians, communicators, and coordinators. Currently, we are not only dealing with a highly concerning rising rates of new COVID-19 infections in many countries of the European Union, but also with treating patients with long COVID, tackling the backlog of unmet medical need, promoting vaccinations, and maintaining routine care, for example, for the influenza season and all the untreated non-communicable diseases that had to wait for the pandemic to be overcome. Throughout this period, doctors were having to deal with the mental and physical toll the pandemic is taking. We have experienced illness, the death of colleagues and loved ones, exhausting working hours, unsafe conditions, and in some cases, even hostility and stigmatization. The European Parliament's recognition is therefore gratefully received as an acknowledgement of the personal and professional commitment doctors have made. One of the sources of encouragement in this time has been the spirit of solidarity. Doctors have reached out to each other across borders, both in Europe and worldwide. We used every opportunity to learn from one another, and national medical associations have been successful in creating support services to safeguard the mental well-being of their colleagues. And we also feel the solidarity in working alongside other health professionals and have lived collaborative practice more than ever in these past months. Today's event also reminds us that the pandemic was not only a crisis for the medical community, but affected the whole of society. We congratulate the recipients of the European Citizens' Prize for their projects which show committed citizenship at its best. We look ahead to the coming months and years with hope. Among all the negative experiences during the pandemic, we have seen scientific progress at an unprecedented speed, innovation in all areas of society, and resilience in the citizens of Europe. All these efforts are allowing us to slowly find a way out of the emergency. Alongside the special recognition we received today, this is our encouragement for the months ahead. On behalf of European doctors, I thank you very much for this appreciation.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Frank Ulrich Montgomery. I would now like to invite Mr. Paul de Rave, Secretary General of the European Federation of Nurses Associations, to give a speech. Please join us.
Thank you very much, dear colleagues. We had a wonderful day. We are here in the Parliament. This is my home to work here on a daily basis. And we have been the whole day taking care of us. We had a beautiful lunch in the hotel a little bit further away. We took part of the art tour here in the Parliament. How beautiful this is. These investments are, and sharing it with us has been a privilege for us, a real privilege. You have taken care of us so well, incredible, and it gives a feeling that you cannot describe. And this is what nurses do the whole day. This is what nurses are doing in the last 2 years, day in, day out, night, day, every weekend, to make sure that the most vulnerable people or citizens are taken care of in the most difficult situations. So let me thank civil society. You in this audience, you are the cornerstone of what we do every day. And I know this is not easy. This is not easy. This is tough. I can tell you. Tough work every single day. But you are here. And this prize is making us happy. It makes you happy. Although every day it is a struggle. And so I want to thank civil society, especially the patient organizations, the citizens organizations, and especially I'm looking to Mrs. Cox, who gave a brilliant intervention on the informal carers. Many nurses, even when they are nurses, they have to become an informal carer because the brothers in the family say, you take care of your mother and father because you can wash them and you can feed them. That is what's happening in the reality. So they lose their pension because they stop working. And this comes to gender. Often women stop their job because to take care of somebody they love. So we need to look after this. And I'm calling up the European Parliament to look after this. Yes, Ms. Cox, I really appreciate all the hard work that your community is doing for all the citizens and the support you give to the nurses who are coming every day to the home care settings. So yes, Chancellor, I don't take the support that you give to us as for granted. There are buildings here in Brussels who do not like always civil society. And so I do not take this moment for granted. And I'm especially looking at Geppert, who is sitting, Evelyn, you're sitting there. I think 2005 we were working here tremendously for the mutual recognition, the proportionality directive, so many years. We count on you and on all your colleagues to help us with EU legislation, to help us come through difficult times. So I really appreciate that you are here and that we meet each other. It is in the bottom of my heart. This brings me in saying that we need more nurses, many nurses, 30% of the nurses, and we have 3 million in the EU, 6 million in Europe, 30% left the profession. They said, enough is enough. I cannot keep on working. I cannot keep on doing this anymore. And I'm coming back to the gender problem. I'm a nurse. I'm a male. But it's extremely difficult as a woman to stay in the profession. And we need to take care of this. Having said this, I think that this prize shows the gratitude that the MEPs, that the politicians have. And again, I want to repeat that without political support, we are nowhere. Without political support, it is incredibly important, this House, where we can discuss things, where we can push our legislation forward, where we can have trialogue meetings behind the scene with the Commission, with the Council and with the European Parliament, to make sure that every civil society member can be supported. It's here that it's happening. That is my experience after 20 years being the Secretary General of EFN. Believe me, we can make a difference here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Paul de Raaf, for those wonderful words. I would now like to invite Chancellor Charanzová to close the ceremony. Chancellor.
Thank you so much, but after these two last interventions, I have nothing to add. I want to thank you all. We heard intervention only of some of you, and I encourage all of you to study all the other projects that were awarded this year and last year. They are the examples, they are the inspirations, and these are the real heroes that we have in our society. Thank you for all your work. I was happy to hear that you had a chance to relax a little bit in Brussels. It doesn't happen very often to me. And I wish you a wonderful evening in Brussels. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chancellor, and thank you to the whole Chancellery for everything that you have done. Could all the winners of the 2020 edition please come to the front for a family photo with the Chancellor, please? Thank you. 2020 edition, please. Could any MEPs that wish to join the 2020 edition also please come forward, of course. Any MEPs who wish to join the 2020 photo are very welcome to join at the front. Thank you. Please take your seats. Could the 2020 edition please take their seats? And if the 2021 edition could join, please, for a family photo with the Chancellor and any MEPs who wish to join the 2021 edition.
Volt egy eset. Čekaj, no. Ano, viděl jsem. Viņi tur bija pasaules nimantu, un viņi tur nāca caur kā pēdējais. Nu, es patos, nu. Mani kā, ok. Nu, es neviens.
Thank you.